Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and the wait is finally over. Major 1 officially begins later today, and with the winners bracket teams getting underway first, OpTic, despite their very poor start to the season in Search and Destroy, reckon it now may well be their best game mode in this game. Could well be the key to winning this weekend. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Let's just crack right on with things. Maven and Mack are back in business. We absolutely do love to see it. We talked about that, of course, yesterday. The final few hours now to get your entry in for the fantasy. Pick your 4 players, see who wins. My team is as follows. It's well, we've got Dashy, Vivid, Hydra, and Kenny. Might not be the greatest. I'm sure you guys can do better, to be honest. But yeah, link in the description box below and in the pinned comment, all that type of good stuff. Great little profile picture right here. Let's crack right on. So Seattle Surge, there has been some roster stuff going around the last day or so, because of course a lot of these rosters right now don't actually have an official substitute for the team. Now, Equip isn't going to be the substitute we believe here for the Seattle Surge, but he is going to be their Search and Destroy analyst. That's pretty interesting, because of course other teams, the likes of FaZe, have done this as well, and we've seen that at least, well, aBeZy was saying on the Breaking Point podcast just a couple of days ago that he reckons that FaZe's Search and Destroy right now may well be their best game modes, and he's super confident in that game mode for them this weekend. OpTic seemingly somewhat similar, and apparently what we've seen from the OpTic guys, they've put in a lot of time behind the scenes into their Search and Destroy, and with respawns arguably being kind of fluky in this game, like you know, the coin flip determines a fair bit in terms of the normal qualifiers as to what control map you play, and the hard points, the spawns could be somewhat questionable. Being really good at Search and Destroy is very key indeed, right? You're probably going to have to win a game 5 if you want to win this tournament, and seemingly a lot of teams taking their Search and Destroy preparation up to the next level. Seattle Surge exactly being one of them. They play OpTic later today. This also thought was really cool from the flank. So Zuma talked about this a while ago. Whether he'd go through with it, I wasn't really sure. But yes, he's going to bring on a Challengers team. The Stallions there being called absolutely fantastic. The team is rumored to be a Challengers squad that's Vinny, of course, like cousin Vinny, I guess. I don't know if he's actual cousin or whether he just calls him cousin Vinny. Is coaching right now. The rumored squad is apparently going to be, we've got a Cryptic, 2 Real, Uli, and Kaiser. So, well, I don't believe this squad is going to be salaried for now, but I believe Zuma's plan is just to, you know, send these guys to events, like do the funding for that front of things, like, you know, do travel and accommodation, this type of stuff. So, really cool, I thought, just see if it works out, right? And it would be cool for Zuma and the Zumafia in general just to keep progress on this team and see how they go, right? Because, of course, there are some Challengers events coming up kind of soon. Like, there's the Rokkr one, right, for Major 2. They actually are going to have a Challengers event at that, well, at the Major, alongside things, a 96 team bracket. I think they did a tweet about it, actually. There was a little bit of drama about this, actually, because some players that, of course, are, well, pretty top-tier Challenger players that, of course, that you would imagine if they're going to be signed, they probably want to be signed to a contract and this type of stuff. And, of course, maybe at one point, that's exactly what Zoom will do, salary these guys. And then if they actually show some promise, right, and there's a possibility they get signed into the Pro League, then I guess the Stallions can kind of become a proper organization where there's official contracts and then there's buyouts and stuff like this. So Zoom, you know, can actually make something work about this and maybe another business line. But, and yeah, Kismet and Exceed didn't seem to be too happy. You got to think, right, they're kind of saying, look, why didn't we get picked up by Zuma, right, to be their Challenger squads? I guess a lot of these guys right now looking for investment, looking for organizations, and, you know, I guess even travel and accommodation would be a benefit for some of these guys for these events. But still, there's so many great players in Challengers, like, there's not all that many opportunities to go around. But I did think that some of the comments about this were kind of surprising. Some people were talking about the entitlement and all this type of stuff, but we'll move on because there's plenty else to discuss. This is some Breaking Point. These are all the substitutes right now. So Atlanta have Rossini, like a lot of these teams, for example, Boston, they've got Zed, that's their coach. Minnesota have Looney, right, who of course was a pro last year, as was Zed, to be fair, but it's still the coaches right now. New York have Revan, I guess. Neptune is technically there, but I mean, yeah, Revan I think is also signed as a sub. We've got Sam Phoenix on Seattle, Theory of course on Paris, no surprises. So lots of teams still right now have their coach as their substitute signed, I guess to save some money, but you know, I would imagine over time a lot of these teams are going to look to the Challenger side and try and actually pick up a proper substitute player, because you know, who knows right now, especially with all the testing the pros have to do before the event, if one test comes up positive, like unlucky, you need a sub, right, and you don't really want it to have to be your coach to come into the team. Just to confirm what we thought here from Veli is that the commentators for this weekend are indeed going to be Miles and Chance, Lano and Sully, Bryce and Dunn. I'm very excited about that. They're finally out in the States, and Merc and Maven, right? So 4 casting pairs this weekend. I did wonder if they were going to switch things up slightly with Maven and Merc coming back into business for the Major, but yes, that's all confirmed. This is what's going to happen. The top 3, I believe, are going to be the casting duos for the regular stages, and then Maven and Merc, they bring him in for the big guns, right, and for the grand finals and all this type of good stuff. These are also some updates that I missed when I talked about it yesterday, because quite a lot that was talked about by Daniel Sai in that community update video. That okay, yes, control at round 5 tiebreaker, now going to be based off ticks, not kills. As I say, not sure when a lot of these things are coming, but indeed, this is on the plan. And well, Bacage A bomb site, this was another one that was being talked about, because right now the A bomb site is in that kind of room where you can kind of rush plant it relatively easy. Like if you get into that room on offense, you can, it's very difficult to kill you off the bomb, right? You can hide in that corner, plant it all the way over at the sides. So maybe the idea is here to make it slightly more difficult for the attackers to just kind of rush Blanté and get the bomb down straight away, because probably even after this change, A-bomb still will be preferred, but B-bomb is really difficult to get to, and it's right out in the open, like it's very difficult to take that side of the map, so it makes a lot more sense just to rush A and get the bomb down there. But if they move it outside the building, it might be a bit more difficult to get it down safely. So, well, there's some opportunities there. Thought it was pretty cool they actually could do something like this. We've seen this in previous games as well, but I'm cool to see Sledgehammer hopefully on top of some of this stuff. Casablanca was also being discussed, right, as a potential map that comes in. Octane is not convinced. He reckons it's not viable. Whether the pros think that across the board, I'm not really sure, because, look, in Search and Destroy, look, the fact of the matter is, we only have 4 maps in Hardpoint, Search and Destroy, and Control. Like, surely we can just add a 5th one in certain situations. Like, even if it's not great, like, surely it's at least on par. Like, hopefully it's not worse than some of the other maps we have, and maybe it is. But, I mean, still, usually in these type of situations where there's a new map that is at least being considered for competitive play, and, well, some teams are particularly good, and maybe the map that might get removed. Like last year when Crossroads was going to be gone, there was talk about, okay, well, if you're a good Crossroads team, you're going to want to vote against it, even if it might not be the greatest map in the world. This year, there's no map that would be going out of the map set, it would just be adding maps in. So that shouldn't really be a consideration for these teams. Hopefully they do find a way to make it work, but this Octane does not make me incredibly confident that it will be coming through this time around. This also from the OpTic side then, because there was some talk yesterday on the podcast. Hex was talking about the fact that the camos are pretty insulting, actually. He reckons, of course, as an artist himself, he's very frustrated with the camos they put out into the game, and he just wished that the CDL would actually give them reign and Activision would give them the reins to do exactly this. But he talks to Rambo how they're feeling for the upcoming major, and then Rambo basically said some quite interesting things, especially because their Search and Destroy at the start of the season was not particularly good. They lost the game to Los Angeles Thieves at the kickoff. They were 1-4 after their first 3 series in Search and Destroy. Since then, they seem to have turned things around quite a lot. We know that Dashy and Illy have been putting in a lot of times behind the scenes, like doing angles, lineups, bomb plant spots, all this type of stuff in practice. That seems to be now paying off for them. Rambo reckons going into this event, he's the most confident he's ever been in their Search and Destroy.
How's practice been looking?
Good. I think we're in a good place right now.
Yeah.
Don't have the easiest bracket. We got to play Seattle first, who's been maybe a little
Turning
slumping in
up.
the last couple matches, but
Yep.
still definitely a good roster this year. If we win that, we most likely have to play FaZe since they're playing Boston.
Yep.
But I mean, realistically, you got to beat anyone to win these tournaments
That's
these
right.
days. So, no, we're excited. I think Search is really where we're at right now. That's probably our best mode, which to me is the most important thing anyways going to a major. Especially with this game, Respawn's a little more fluky sometimes depending on the maps you play. So
Yeah.
And with this weekend being incredibly tight all across the board, Search and Destroy is going to come in very handy indeed. Like Atlanta FaZe, even FaZe, a team like FaZe, they're probably going to have to win a Game 5 this weekend if they want to make it all the way through. I think they're going to have a hard time. This is one of the reasons I'm not so convinced the Los Angeles Thieves are going to make a crazy run, because yes, their hardpoint is great, but their Search and Destroy, I think, so far has left something to be desired. Ravens has been pretty good, I think better than Thieves, to be honest, and then if OpTic reckon they're right there or thereabouts as well, that puts them in a very good position, because OpTic are typically this team. Last year we saw this so much, where they'd eventually match up with Ultra in the losers bracket and lose to Ultra because they couldn't win a Game 5 Search and Destroy against Ultra to save their lives. That happened so many times last year that when they were put in these pressure Game 5 situations, they would fall short. So look, if Rambo's really confident about their Search and Destroy, that I think is going to be the key. The team that wins this weekend is going to have a good Search and Destroy record, I think. Teams aren't going to be able to get it done at the respawns across the board because it's just so hard to be good at respawns consistently. But in Search and Destroys, you can take your gameplay to the next level. Theoretically, this OpTic team should be fantastic in Search. It was a surprise at the start of the year that they seem to be, well, suffering in that mode to some degree. The OpTic guys certainly realised this after their first couple of series, put a lot of time into their Surge, and I was especially impressed against the one, I think it was against Boston, or maybe it was against Paris, but the Boston one with the 5-5 on Tuscan was pretty good. They were down 5-4 in that map. Also against Paris, I believe they were down 2-0 on Berlin, and they came back and won, 6 out of the next 7 rounds, I'm pretty sure, on that map. So seemingly they've been getting their strats in place, but also their counter strats, right? Because that's what makes a great Search and Destroy team, is that after the first few rounds, figuring out what the opposition's doing, changing your gameplay around, and taking it down the rest of the map. This also, you guys might have noticed on the timeline yesterday, some words coming out from Kenny. Now, well, it seemed like when Kenny was tweeting all this stuff, like a load of tweets came through, I was like, okay, there's no way this is Kenny on his actual account. He tweets the following ads. You guys can read it for yourself. But, he also tweets this out. Sim, you're just too good, man. And then I believe it was Jacob who comes to the reply. This got Donny written all over it. So, yes, seemed like Temp had managed to, get access to Kenny's account, whether it was on one of his, practice warm-up PCs or something at the venue, and he'd forgotten to log out of his Twitter. As Temp says, says, you know, guys got a sign out of his stuff. Luckily, it's in my hands and not Slash's, because maybe we'd have seen even worse stuff on the timeline. But Temp already trying to get one over on Kenny before this weekend has even begun. This also to mention real quick from Eggs, of course, there was some talk about Chapter 2, what he's up to next, which game studio he's working for. Turns out he's working for Ubisoft on their new game X Defiance. Haven't honestly heard all that much about this project, but seems like it's going to be another arena shooter type deal. I guess going to be focused on the competitive side. At least that I think is where X is involved. So pretty cool to see actually Mark Rubin involved in this. That's pretty cool as well. So yeah, this is what X is up to, consulting on this game since last October, and in mid-January joined full time. So X is on the grind all over the place, right? He's doing the flank, he's doing this full time, he's doing the reverse sweep show as well. So X is getting that bag all across the board. Gotta respect it. This guy is a hustler from day one. And let's then talk about the games that are coming up later today. Firstly, this is Miles Ross, actually just real quick. He's in Texas right now. Looking forward to a great E-story episode with Hex over the coming days here. What a character. Great story behind this guy. Really looking forward to hearing more about it. His history. He's come up in esports, this type of stuff. I've heard some about it. But, really interesting character and great guy as well. And of course, great commentator. And we'll see him in action, I imagine, later today alongside Maven and Merc, at least at some point this weekend. These then are the 4 games. Now, I think some of these are very difficult to predict. I think the first one as well is very challenging. I want to pick the Royal Ravens, right? I'm going to be biased. I'm going to say Ravens are going to win this one 3-2. But Guerrillas were the only team in the regular stage to take down London Royal Ravens in the 5 games that they played. Now, Ravens are 4-1. Guerrillas, very good hardpoint team. I think that's where London might struggle here in this series. But I do think Ravens just have a straight up better search and destroy right now. So I can see a game 5 here. I think London will take it just about. They'll move on in the bracket. I think they'll kind of learn from their mistakes they made when they played them in the regular stage or in the qualifying matches. And also Gizmo had an uncharacteristically poor series when they played Guerrillas. So if he turns it around again, I think Ravens should be favourites. FaZe beating Boston Breach, I don't really think there's too much of a challenge there. Maybe a 3-1 and Boston can snatch one of the maps. But honestly, I think FaZe are going to come out and show dominance here. I'm saying this is a 3-0, especially what Easy Mack's been saying about FaZe's search and destroys of late. It's tough to see Boston possibly getting an upset here. It's always possible. Then we've got Ultra versus Los Angeles Thieves. This is a very exciting game. Probably the pick of the winners bracket round 1 matchups, to be honest. Right now, I think Thieves are the better squad. I think that they're better in hardpoint, most certainly. If it goes game 5, I think that Ultra probably should be favourites. They have incredible clutch factor. But my theory is that Thieves are going to take this one 3-1. They're going to win both of the hardpoint and the control. They have the higher seed over Ultra as well, which means in the control they get to pick what direction they want to go in. If they want to go down the Gravity control route or the Tuscan route, they can decide what they do there. That does give them some advantage here. And then the final series, OpTic versus Seattle Surge. This, I think, is going to be closer than the last week or so of league matches would have suggested. Prid was talking to me on the Breaking Point channel a couple of days ago that he's very confident that they're turning their gameplay around from the last couple of weeks they had. Then again, though, OpTic in front of the home crowd with all the support there. Seattle are going to find themselves in a pretty hostile environment, right? And some of these newer guys may not be used to that to play at their highest level in such a circumstance. So, yes, I think that Seattle are going to put up a fight. I think OpTic may well be the better team. And we'll see if what Rambo has to say here about their search and destroy actually comes to fruition, because I'm taking OpTic here 3-2. OpTic have generally been a team that starts a little bit slow in tournaments, so I don't think they're going to come through an absolute romp through this series. If they do, then that, shows a lot of confidence going into the next match against FaZe. But I think they'll scrape past Surge, and I realise that means I'm taking all the teams on the right-hand side here to win. But very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you did make it to the end of the video, I had a lot of great feedback on the Q&A a couple of days ago about the idea of doing an F1 channel. I'm definitely starting that up. I'll link it down in the description box below. I'm not sure how consistent I'm going to be on this channel over the coming weeks. I have to figure out how it fits into the schedule. But yeah, gonna have a lot of fun doing it. If you're interested in Formula 1, go subscribe over there. If not, don't, because I think that maybe inactive subscribers aren't good for the algorithm. It works in mysterious ways. But yes, thanks all for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.